Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first live from the series of lives about digital transformation. During these lives, together with our guests, we will be covering top questions from different industries about the digital transformation in technology, data, processes, and organizational change. This is my honor to have a first guest for the first live, Laszlo Konya. He will be talking about the value generation, the key goal of the digital transformation. Laszlo has a huge experience working as a VP of Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions. He's actually managing more than 1,000 employees since 2011, and he's covering delivering actually global public cloud cybersecurity, IoT, and automation and software development services. So this is my honor to present Laszlo, and Laszlo, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lela, and thanks for the opportunity to be here. And thanks for those who joined here or are watching this video from the recording. If someone does not sell, I do not want to innovate it, because the sale is itself showing utility, and utility means value. This is a quote for Thomas Edison, which I think is really important nowadays as well. Whenever we talk about digital transformation, about using IT to make our services or products enhanced, we need to focus a lot on the value what we generate to the customers, what we generate to the users, what we generate to the whole environment. Let me start with a couple of words about myself. I was born in Romania initially, then I moved later to Hungary. I work across several countries. After doing my master's in computer programming, I also did a lot of other certifications like BRMP, Agile Safe, MBA, and other trainings. And working a lot with PMI in Hungary here, and now at this invitation. Did a lot of positions in my career. Fourth position actually now in Deutsche Telekom. As Lela mentioned, I'm leading now a quite large department here in Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions. I will talk about that a bit more later. And I'm a strong believer of digital future. I truly believe that digital and the whole world of IT can transform our life to a better one in the future. And I think this change is really important to us, to all of us. Myself personally, I'm a kind of change addict, so I like to transform things. I like to make new things, and even if those changes are not always successful, I really believe that these changes are necessary for our learning path and to invent and do something new. If you talk about digital, let me show just a couple of slides from Peter Diamantis, who is one futurologist, and at the Singularity University, I had the chance to listen to this presentation. He was showing a couple of slides how technology is speeding up nowadays. And these numbers are pretty amazing. So if you look at this chart in the last 70 years, from the analog photos, what we had 1 billion per year. Nowadays, we have 1.6 trillion photos. That was a data from 2017. And the analog photos went down to 4 billion, meaning that everything goes to digital in the photographic world as well. And that's just one snapshot of our life. But if we talk about IT, about computers, here on this slide, you can see that the speed, how the development of this computing power was evolving the last 50 years is really amazing. From 58, when we had 2 transistors in one such equipment, in 71 we had 2000, and nowadays we have billions of transistors built in one single PC or notebook. and practically the price was falling continuously, meaning that nowadays, if you compare it to 50 years earlier, we had a 27 billion fold improvement. That's really mind-boggling how the whole industry is growing, is speeding up, is enhancing more and more computing. And we can use all these to improve the business, to develop the business and improve user experience. And just going on to the next step, the expectation is that in the next couple of years, on this slide is 2023, maybe it will be a bit later, but definitely in a few years, one single $1,000 laptop will be able to match the capacity of a human brain. And the expectation is that roughly around 2050, one such laptop will be able to match the computing power of the whole human race, of all human brains together. This is really something amazing. This is where we go towards singularity, where computers will be much more sophisticated in computer power than the human brain. And the last slide showing this increasing of the speed is about the Internet of Things. It's another amazing part of the world, how it's all these little sensors and devices what we use and we try to make smart everything around us. You can see that around 2025, the expectation is that out of 40 billion devices on the internet, 3/4 will be already IoT devices. The non-IoT part is the classical one, you know, the phones, tablets, PCs, laptops, etc. And this shows that everything around us starts to be connected. So this whole world of IT and digitalization starts to be interconnected with everything. And in all this world, we have the customer, the user, which can be an internal one, an external one, but we have someone using our services and our products, and how can we help these users and these clients to develop their own world? How can we offer a much more digitized solutions to them? I'm talking now more from the side of a service provider. From our side as Deutsche Telekom, we are delivering such digitization services to others, but we're doing digitalization to us as well. And this will be part of my presentation, the second part of today. And it's important to think a lot with the head of the customer. And if you talk about the customer, it doesn't matter if it's internal or external, but nowadays customers expect everything from everywhere. And that's the key to all these challenges what we have, and why we have to digitize everything, and why we need to move to the cloud, and we need to move to solutions which are really fulfilling these expectations. After COVID, obviously, all of us have lived that, and we still live it. It's going to be a hybrid world. So we will not go back anymore to the office than it used to be before the COVID. And much more people will work from home or mix from home and from the office. And this means that a lot of solutions, a lot of technical and IT solutions have to be reachable through the internet, so that connectivity have to be available everywhere, so that users can reach these systems. At the same time, as I mentioned, the Internet of Things, everything starts to become smart. So we have more and more devices like a fridge or anything else which is connected to the internet. And parallel to that, the customer's expectations are going up and up regarding functionality. So, for example, we are delivering services to a lot of car manufacturers, and a CIO of these companies just explained to us a couple of weeks ago in a joint meeting that car manufacturers used to be companies which were delivering new versions of cars in a couple of months in the fastest way, or usually even years. The cars, the physical cars themselves might change slower than IT, definitely. But at the same time, nowadays, the cars, because they are also connected to the internet, have also kind of digital functionality. And the customers, the users of the cars, also expect a very frequent changes and a new functionality, ideally, let's say every month latest, or maybe every week. So the expectation of these clients and customers towards the digital solutions is that they want to have this kind of new impulses, new solutions, new versions in an agile way developed and delivered. But at the same time, the last two are also very important. Cyber defense and data security are critical, that we can can believe that the providers who are delivering us these digital services are taking care of our data, and they are protecting us also from any wrongdoers on the internet. So the expectations from the customers are pretty high, and for that, to be able to that, I'm a really believer of that we need a kind of mindset change. And we need to focus on the customer. We need to focus on what the customer wants and how we can deliver that. I put here together a kind of classic economic slide on this part of the presentation. On the left side, you can see that when we talk about the customer and what the customer wants, and we deliver to that customer a digitally transformed solution, a service, a product, an internal solution, an internal service, whatever we deliver to that customer, the customer, in this whole change, for the customer, there is a value, what the customer perceives, which ideally should be higher than the price what they pay for it, regardless if it's an external customer paying an invoice or internal just cross-charging. And ideally, the cost of the solution is even lower, because the difference between price and cost is the service provider's profitability, and the difference between the value and the price is driving the sales of that product. So practically, the customers are always to have something in their mind, a value what they perceive for that product, which is called, willingness to pay. And when we talk about digital transformation, the digital transformation might have different goals. Why we do the digital transformation, we have to clarify from the beginning, understand why we invest money in that, and what is the outcome, how we would like to measure the results of the digital transformation, besides saying that, yes, now we are much more digital and is fancy and looking better. Some of these results, usually the final result is always some kind of financial result, because in the economic world, we need to have financial gains. As you can see, usually one target of digitalization is increasing efficiency, which is decreasing the costs. Therefore, we can generate more profit, or we can go down with the prices and sell more. But definitely, that's one of the key results. Could be an increase of the rollout speed, so that we are able to, for example, sell more products in shorter time, or come up with new releases, new products. Being able to deliver faster to the customers, this gives us scaling capabilities, that we are able to sell much more products, to install much more products, to operate much more products in the digital transformed world, let's say. It could increase attractiveness of our solutions, so that the customers are enjoying those products, and therefore perceiving the value of the product higher. So the willingness to pay is higher. And also definitely can increase the customer loyalty. Producers like Apple, who are really good in this kind of increasing attractiveness and driving the willingness to pay higher. Maybe the functionality is not that richer than in the previous version, but the way how it's presented to the market is always showing that this new version of the solution is attractive for the customers. But if we talk about transformation, and I think couple of the questions of Lela will come later about that, there are a lot of risks, because we are driving a lot of transformations at the customer side, on our side as well, and we see that in many cases, like in every project, and we are talking here with a lot of project managers, known fact that it's very hard to estimate well the costs. So in many cases, it's underestimated. Or how can we keep the business running? For example, we also work for logistic companies across Europe, and one of them, the CIO of that company, mentioned again a couple of months ago that their main logistics center in Germany, they have every 3 minutes one truck is leaving that logistics center with different packages. And in case the IT system is down for 3 hours, that means that they are blocking practically all the highways around that logistical system or logistical center, and practically even the next city is blocked in a huge traffic jam, and that's only because their IT system was down for 3 hours. So you have to take in consideration that there are some industries where this digital transformation has to be done in a very cautious way, so that we are not endangering the main operations. And obviously, you need a lot of resources on customer side, which is sometimes underestimated. So just put on the last part of this slide, if we talk about the value creation, in a lot of cases, the safe way for the customer is to base something as a service instead of transforming their whole world and investing in a totally new software, what is working for a whole package for them. They just buy some standard services, software platform or infrastructure as a service. These are more and more popular in the world, and in a pay-per-use model, it's much easier with less risk to invest into that. A lot of importance are around how we implement these kind of digital things, and these two things on this slide are key in my opinion. One of them is how we understand the customer need, which drives the whole transformation. And for that, design thinking is definitely the methodology to be used. Design thinking is a methodology which is using the customer in the focus, the human in the focus. You have to emphasize and understand how the user and those who are benefiting from these services, how will they feel during this whole process of digital transformation or new services. Define, understand the problem, ideate it, prototype it, and then going into this whole loop. And during this whole process, you need to focus on the whole journey of the customer, which is called in the design thinking methodology, the customer journey map, where you go through the whole process, how the customer will feel and experience this whole process. Just like an example, if you implement a tool for booking flight tickets, which is obviously due to the COVID now is not that popular, but hopefully it will come back soon, then you need to understand the whole process from the very beginning. When the customer comes up the idea that wants to fly somewhere, how the whole process will materialize for this customer, how they will feel during the process. And to be able to use all this information and implement it in a quite agile and adaptable way, you need ideally agile organizations, and this is one of the other key things what in Deutsche Telekom we are moving a lot towards. So we are trying to change step by step several parts of our organization to a more agile, flexible organization, which are fast, resilient, and adaptable to be able to deal with this very much changing environment, because you can focus on the customer and deal with all the huge amount of changes around the customer as well. Just one more slide about agile organizations, which is one of my labeling topics to say that. So to be able really to drive this kind of digitalizations, nowadays it's not the same way like 10-20 years ago when we did IT projects with I don't know, planning for 3 months, planning the whole project, whole details, and then working on it for 9 other months and delivering a final product. It's much more agile. You need to take in consideration a lot of other things. As I mentioned previously, customers are expecting regular, smaller updates continuously. So agility is all around us. And for that, the classical top-down hierarchies are not feasible anymore. And we try to move much more into this agile organizations, which are, for example, Spotify was one of the first companies trying to use that and implementing it, where the decision layers are taken down to that level when the whole thing is happening and the digital transformation or digital implementations are done. And empowerment is all through the organization, so that the teams themselves have the right to find the needed goals, and they are able to implement it. And then just a couple of slides, and then we can open the discussion with Lela as well about some examples around our own company. I brought a couple of things about 2020 when we did an own digitalization journey. Because I can't really talk about customer digitalizations, that's more confidential, sensitive data, but I can show what we did in the last year. Our own company is a subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom in Hungary. We are almost 5,000 people, and we deliver services globally. As you could see, the legal structure is a bit complex. We have 2 legal entities in Hungary, one of them working mostly for T-Systems International's clients. T-Systems is Deutsche Telekom's business to business a service provider, and the other half of the company is working mostly for Telekom Deutschland, which is the network provider in Germany. And we are mainly supporting these companies in their international deals. So T-Systems and Deutsche Telekom delivering their services in Germany and across Europe, and use us as practically a delivery point to implement these services internationally. And just a couple of words about the last year, which in which COVID really was driving the need for a much higher digitalization. If you look at this slide, you can see that in 2020 we started this whole move to home because of the COVID situation around March, and the whole story obviously took the whole world suddenly, so no one was prepared that we need to work from one moment to the other at home. We were in a good situation because we are, of course, an IT company, so we had a quite good environment and tools and virtual private network and everything prepared so that the whole stuff can work from home. Previously, we didn't even had a lot of tests around that, and luckily, like 30% of our staff was working from home. Based on home office contracts. So it was not a new thing, but still moving 5,000 people in 3 days to home, it was new to us. And as you can see on the right side, we had to use a lot of agile mindset things. We had to decentralize our decision making and empower our teams, because we just announced to our staff when the first COVID cases appeared here in Budapest that please, from next week, start to work from home. We ensure you all the IT environment for that, but you need to organize your work, and the team leaders were empowered in this kind of agile mentality to set up the new services. And parallel to moving to home and starting to work from home, we had to work a lot on the digital part of the thing, how we will work with 5,000 people continuously in the online space. At the beginning, we didn't even realize that it will take a year or even more years, because now we are well beyond 1 year and we are still working mainly from home. But slowly we had to realize that we need to invest a lot of time and to move much more into the digital space. We started to work a lot on the online cooperation part, meaning using much more digital tools and converting our whole world into an online cooperation. Here we use much more standard things like Miro or Trello, a lot of Kanban things, a lot of agile things. These were standard tools what we fine-tuned for our own world and started to use for the whole company. And parallel to that, we started to develop a lot of new digital solutions. And we did that in a very agile way. HR things, we already had a lot of trainings which were done in the digital world, or let's say in e-learnings, but we had to move everything in the digital space, which was a challenge, especially for a couple of soft skill trainings. We had to move the whole recruitment into the digital space again, which was rethinking the whole process of this recruitment together of our Six Sigma guys, where the candidates were addressed through the digital space, and also up to us. For today, we are hiring now every month at least 100 new colleagues. Because we are continuously growing now, and still for all new candidates, the whole journey of being a candidate is in our company, and being part of this recruitment process is just once they have to come to the company where they are joining us, and hopefully they take over their assets. But during the whole process, the whole selection and interviews, everything is in the online space. We also moved our assessment centers to the online world, which was a huge challenge, because the assessment center is a special tool where we test people for very special positions, leadership positions, or some kind of critical positions, and we try out their skills in different situational games. And we had to move that also with our providers together into the digital space. And also all the other legal and asset management processes went to the digital space, online contracted practically. Now I'm also working mainly from home, only usually once a day in the office. And I have to sign a lot of contracts, but these are all, majority of these are coming in the digital solution, which is an own developed solution, but later maybe we will turn towards a standard one. And we also moved our back office helping solutions into the digital space with a kind of personal open hours which were needed. And just finalizing my speech, even up to today, we still have a lot of challenges, but we continuously try to rethink, innovate, and learn, understand this digital world. As a large company, we still try to keep our staff motivated. The staff is really happy, by the way, to stay at home. We asked them twice in November and also in February, what is their view on the long term after COVID? How many days would they like to be in the office? And almost 2,000 colleagues answered in both cases, and the result was astonishingly the same. They answered they want to be 1.8 days at the office in a week, so a bit less than 2 days in the office and 3 days at home. And this is the way forward. This is our hybrid new world where we are going. And we do a lot of online events, team buildings, using all the digital opportunities, standard solutions like Spotify, WebEx, or trying to develop new virtual escape rooms with our colleagues, so that the experience for these people are really good. And just finalizing, just a couple of words. If we talk about digital transformation, it's always good to look ahead and see what is coming on. I've just put here the latest strategic trend analysis of Gartner from this year. And Gartner say that there are 3 main categories: is people centricity, location independence, and resilient delivery, which will drive technology in the future and what we can use in our digital transformations as well. Internet of behaviors is an interesting new thing about dealing with the behaviors of individuals and even populations, and trying to influence that, especially about selling or making decisions. You might recall the Cambridge Analytica scandal, but this will drive a lot of discussions about ethics as well, and how we want to use this kind of tools and methodologies. Total experience is about merging or combining user experience, employee experience, and customer experience. Because if we focus on all of these, and employees and the customers are all very happy with the experience what we give to them, that will drive productivity up and efficiency up. Privacy enhancing computation is about how to deal with the data in a safe way, even in environments which are not trusted environments. So the new tools and new solutions are coming in the different public cloud environments for that. Distributed cloud is also a well-known thing since quite a while, meaning that you keep your data distributed across geographies. Reason could be very different. Could be, for example, low latency, that you want to keep some data in some environment or some region where it needs to be accessed very quickly. And even the difference between maybe different countries could be too slow. So that's why you keep it, or you have some legal regulations why you have to keep some data in another geographical part of the world. Anywhere operation is about being able to manage your operations from anywhere. This is practically related to what I said previously, that every customer wants to access their system from anywhere, but as a service provider, the goal is the same. Us who are delivering a lot of IT services, we also do it from anywhere and from home as well. Cybersecurity mesh is also a new way of dealing with those devices which are not closed in our network, but maybe out on the edge, and we still try to manage those in a secure way. Intelligence composable business is a very sophisticated way to saying the kind of flexible organizations who are able to make their decisions adapted to the business environment. And the last two, AI engineering is a kind of operationalization of AI. So AI is now everywhere. We also started to work a lot on about AI and start to define use cases for our customers and ourselves and use it in different parts of the business. But so far, these are more island solutions, and AI engineering will be about standardizing it, the production and operation of it. And hyper automation is combining a lot of different tools to reach that much automation as possible. All these are combined into the new combinatorial innovation. So it's an interesting new world ahead of us. I'm really excited to see what's coming in the next year. And thank you very much for your attention, Lela. I'm happy to discuss with you.
Laszlo, it was amazing presentation. It was breathtaking presentation. Honestly, so much information, so much new things, and how much was done by your company. It's amazing. It's really amazing, especially during these really difficult times, during this COVID post-pandemic times. And the question, actually, you partially covered the topic, and you mentioned the risks and you mentioned challenges, especially with this unknown situation in the environment as well as in a business environment. So my next question, when I was thinking, so many changes, so many digitalization, so many new developments, what are the main challenges for you as a company inside that still continues, and you already have some maturity on digital transformation already? Yeah, you doing it, you have implemented the several steps, but it's still ongoing, and I don't think it's an ending process. It will still go on, yeah, as everything develops. But for me, it's interesting. What are challenges right now for you, for your company right now inside? And also, in addition to that, as a company who also does digital transformation to other companies, what are the main challenges you go to those companies and you face them?
I think these challenges are quite similar for us and for our customers. I would say that the majority of the processes of an average company are usually already supported by IT. So it's not the case that a company nowadays in Europe would or US or whatever part of the world would still work a lot with paper. Maybe some very small companies, but usual companies, they already have a lot of IT support. And the big challenge nowadays is that we have all this high speed in the world, a lot of fancy trends, AI, Internet of Things, whatever, and the customers want to cherry pick, want to start this one, that one, whatever, but still they have a lot of legacy systems. And the question is how you can move in this transformation into an FMO, a future mode of operation, where you have all this kind of distributed cloud-based using AI and these fancy new technologies solutions, but at the same time keeping up your business and transforming these legacy systems into the future. So I think the solution is definitely a kind of compromise, and we see that for the customers as well, that they also try to convert only partially of their business into these new technologies. And still the old-fashioned technologies are surviving. We still, a lot of customers still have mainframe and running very stable software on that mainframe. And maybe you try to move some of these legacy systems into the cloud in a kind of Docker or whatever solutions which is simulating the same environment like in the data center. But these are not really transformations. It's just trying to make these accessible from everywhere. But it's a very, very long process to transform everything to a new digital world, which is up to our actual trends, because in some cases it just the business case is not working. So you just calculate it, you realize that transformation costs much more than what is your return on investment. So you try to find some kind of compromise, and there is always this kind of very, very fancy, attractive layer on it. but behind usually you still have some old-fashioned systems which will still run for quite a lot of time.
How you prioritize? For example, there should be some priorities. So how you start, you will leave some old-fashioned systems in place, but there should be some priorities. Yeah, for example, in your company, how you did actually that prioritization, which should go the digital first, what should be next. So how those business decisions can be made.
You know, it depends on the customer need and the value for the customer, like was the main message for my presentation. Because in some, you should move those functions more into this new digital everywhere connected world, where you really need this kind of functionality. For example, you have sales guys going on the road and meeting customers, and would be great to be able to access all the sales data, whatever. Then you know that you need to move to for example, for Salesforce, which is a cloud-based software as a service solution, and you implement there all your sales processes, and you need to access that data continuously from everywhere. And maybe there are some other systems where this kind of immediate need from everywhere is not that high, or maybe your data there is really that confidential that you try to limit its access to the internet. To be honest, this second part is less and less usual. So even the production systems are, nowadays being more and more connected to the internet, which brings in obviously new risks. So if as you go more deep into this technology layers, and you have the very smart equipments like the mobiles and the tablets, you can protect those quite well from the cyber defense point of view. But as these devices start to be less and less smart, little sensors or whatever equipment, but they are also linked to your network and also to the internet, they also pose a risk. So you need to analyze and to understand which part of the business you put out to this risk and how you defend against that.
How adaptive and how adapted are staff? Actually, you mentioned that there was a survey there. Do they want to stay at home or come to work? So they have this hybrid option right now. But the minds, it's a shift of mind. So it should be shift. So how it is working with the mindsets and how it's working, isn't it challenging? Or how, as a manager for the more than 1,000 people, how you deal with that?
You mean this work from home in larger numbers?
Digital transformation, because they also need to adapt. So the working from home, this is only one part of it, but there are some digitalization, new tools, new systems, and so on, new ways of working. So you mentioned that we worked in a different environment, pyramid environment. Now we are working in a cycle environment. So how fast they adopt? Are there challenges? Are there any conflicts, or how you deal with that?
Every change has its usual change pattern, as we all know, even from the Kotter model. So at the beginning, it's a challenge. You have to explain why you do that changes, and if you do a digital transformation, it's usually not that hard, because people like to have fancy new things and start to use it. But when you are very used to such, for example, legacy systems, and they are changed to new ones, even if they are fancy, you need to learn them, you need to adapt. They will maybe not be that fine-tuned to your operations. So it's always a lot of opposition from the users, be that local or internal or external ones. So you have to explain why you do that. You need to involve the staff. With this kind of remote work, when we moved into the digital and we asked 5,000 people to work from home, that was kind of easy. So the majority of the staff, it was not that hard to work from home. Obviously, for those who have little kids like myself, I also have little daughters at home. When they work at home and the school was closed, it was a challenge. But in general, working from home was not that hard. And from management point of view, this kind of remote leadership was much more challenging. So nowadays I see that managers would like to see much more the people in the office because it's easier to control them. Then when you have a remote leadership role, it's the key thing is that you define what kind of outcome you expect, and you measure your staff rather on the value they generate and not the hours what they spend on generating it. So that's a challenge. But if you go back to the digitalization question, usually I think digitalization itself, it's not generating a huge problem for the staff because they like the things, the new things, but the change process has to be managed properly. So to explain to the users why you do that, involve them, getting their feedback and driving them through these early steps when the digitalization process might be hard or maybe even posing some challenges.
Actually, I have 2 questions from the participants. If I may, I will just convey them to you. The one question is that how cities should be ready for the digital transformation?
How? Could you repeat
it? Cities should be ready for the digital transformation.
We all see that digital transformations bring a lot of opportunities to the government and local institutions as well, like in cities. We work for quite a few cities, especially in Germany, in their digital transformation process. It's very interesting to see how they address it. And I think it can really address a totally new opportunity for the well-being of the people, how you can manage all the parking spaces, how you can manage the traffic through the cities, and you can practically address any process of a governmental institution, and especially through this design thinking process, what I mentioned, discussed together with the main government officials, these processes, understand how you can improve that, how you can enhance the citizens' life. In this is a different story than from the economic world or the private world. In the private world, usually the customers expect a return on money. So you invest $10 and you expect $12 on return. For the governmental institutions, that's a little bit different because they are usually giving a service based on the taxes, but they are giving a service which is delivered by them. And in many cases, they can be measured on the quality of that service, how they can improve the life of the citizens. And maybe the return is not coming on this governmental institution side, but is coming from the fact that the companies working in that city will be more efficient. They can have much more efficient operations, generating more revenues, and then ultimately paying more taxes to the city. So it's definitely a different business model, but still a model where you need to understand what you want to reach by this transformation, how you can measure that, and how you can define it as a success story ultimately.
Yeah, but it is unavoidable, I believe, because it's coming, and it's just a matter of timing. For the developed part of the world, it's coming much quicker, much rapidly. For the developing countries, probably it's a slow process, still slow process. Another question that I have: what is the role of the government for this digital transformation? How you see it? This is the next question.
In my role, in my view, the government has a dual role here. One of them is definitely driving, as we mentioned previously, a lot of digital initiatives across the country, and helping those kind of initiatives which are increasing or decreasing poverty, increasing life expectancy, increasing the quality of life, and a lot of digital things can improve that. All those IoT equipment, for example, what you use it for healthcare monitoring, remote healthcare monitoring, etc., etc. You can implement a lot of use cases which are improving the quality of life of the citizens. At the same time, for me as a service provider, for us, and I guess many others across the world, is very important that the governments are creating a legal environment which is incentivizing innovation and helping the private sector to develop new solutions and implement these solutions to increase again the value for the whole country.
You mentioned the legal aspect. Is there any legal like framework or laws in Hungary about the digital transformation, if you have heard about in other countries?
Yes, I think all countries are working a lot on digital transformation, and Hungary as well. In Hungary, I think we are in a quite lucky situation that in many aspects we are in a quite good environment. For example, connectivity is very well built up across the country. So wherever you go to live even in the countryside, most likely you will get a good connectivity. And the government is pushing the whole innovation topic as well. To be honest, for us, all these East European countries like Georgia and Hungary as well, we through this digitalization and through this globalization, we have the chance to be part of the global value chain, which is a totally different world like we have 100 years ago. And from this point of view, 2020 was a big event for us and a big chance for the future as well, because as I explained, for example, our company has 5,000 employees here in Hungary as only. You know, Deutsche Telekom is one of the largest IT companies in the world, IT and telecom company, more than 200,000 people globally, delivering globally services. And in the previous years, we were growing the services from Hungary and Slovakia and India and other and even Russia to a given level. But there were couple of areas where we had the feeling that you need on-site presence and you need to deliver locally. If you had a customer in the UK or in Switzerland or in Germany, you had to travel there. And nowadays, after 2020, these walls are just demolished, and we realized that you can deliver from anywhere. You could deliver from Georgia, from Hungary, from India. It doesn't matter. You can have sales roles in these countries, which is a brand new word for us. So in my team, we are building up now a team of 50 people doing bid management, pricing management, omni-channel sales, which is driven now from Hungary and done across the DACH region in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, which was not used to be previously. So if these East European countries are able to have the needed IT background and in the country, the infrastructural background, and the needed educational background to provide the right resources for these multinational companies, then we can really jump on this new wave where due to this globalization and the new virtual world after 2020, a lot of things can be done remotely from anywhere. And I think this is giving us a new boom. So I can share to you. You mentioned that I'm leading a department of 1,000 people, which is true. But by year end, our target is 1,400 something. So we will grow almost by 400 people only this year in Hungary because of this boom which is happening, which is amazing.
Actually, the conversation that we are having right now is a result, I think, of this digital transformation and boom actually that happened after the pandemic. Everything has speeded up, and for me, it's an opportunity to have a chance to talk and share your vision, your ideas as a practitioner who has implemented not only the company that you're running, but for other companies. So it's amazing, and I really feel that we have to be using this opportunity. In Georgia should be sharing with Hungary. Right now, we're in a discussion to have the bridge same with the Kazakhstan, with Ukraine. So it's amazing how speed is like rapid, becomes rapid.
Yeah. And Lela, let me ask also you something. We have a few more minutes left. So how you see the digital transformation in Georgia? How you see Georgia on the global map of digital world?
First of all, when I was listening to you, you were referring a lot about the data science and data usage and analysis and so on and so on. Unfortunately, I do not see the lot of data collection at this point in lots of companies, neither in a private or public sector. Most of developed areas for us in Georgia is a financial sector and IT sector. Besides those, data collection and analysis is not very well developed. So firstly, you need to collect all this data, so you do good analysis and good data science. So this area needs to be developed, and there is a room for improvement in all aspects of digital transformation. To say the couple words, what happened after the pandemic? Yes, the digital transformation has speeded up. Right now, I feel the sense from the society that there is interest what it really means, digital transformation. There are few banks, big banks, that are trying to do the digital transformation. But if we compare the scale of the big countries, the scale for Georgia is small. However, even though the areas of digital transformation like tools, techniques and so on, not really mature, I still have a hope. Since we are a small country, we had several reforms in country which were adopted pretty quickly. And I really have a hope that at some point there will be a quick turnaround, and we as people who will be implemented, project managers and product owners and so on, should be ready what it really means. So we should not learn from our mistake, but really learn from the mistakes or the lessons learned from other countries, other companies, and this is very useful. So in short, I don't think we are at the beginning of the digital transformation. There is still room for more to be done, as in every country all over the world. So we are getting there. Actually, it will take more time. It will take more time to educate, so people to get used to and adopt it. Of course, one of the biggest challenges is internet access for the remote areas of Georgia. So in the mountainous areas where people cannot really access, and the government is working for the digitalization, like internetization for the remote areas. So it will be one more additional incentive for digitalization. So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Lela, for inviting me and driving these sessions of digital transformation.
For being the first live speaker on those series of lives about the digital transformation. This is really my honor and my pleasure to host you on this, and talk to you soon. Hope for participants, and I'm sure it was really, really interesting, and see you later.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.